So I'm going to start off, I think, with the head here. One of the key things to being a good artist here is to zoom in on the detail area that you're going to work on. Don't try and draw the face from here. Just zoom in, and now I've got the head right here in my screen. My primary tool is going to be the Blob Brush tool and using layers separately. It is much easier to combine layers later if you decide to, rather than separating out all the individual parts. So this is going to be the head, and I'm going to use not the brush tool. Do not use this one. Always use the Blob Brush tool for this kind of work, because we would have to scribble a lot on here, and we'd end up with paths everywhere. The way you can tell is if you make your brush bigger. So these are the bracket keys, and if you're like trying to color this in, going around the edge is fine, but then make your brush bigger with the bracket key right above the enter key, and then just fill it in like that. But if I press Control A, you can see I've actually got this weird path going everywhere. There's no fill, that's all a stroke. That will not work. It is so much easier to use the Blob Brush tool. So let me delete that and try again. So I'm going to change this to Shift B, the Blob Brush tool, and I'm actually going to start with the bigger brush and only make it smaller if I need it. So I can go around and take this head color right here. Just need to know about where the head is, and then just fill it in. If you make a mistake like that, it's not a big deal. You can use the eraser and then just shave it off, as opposed to then altering the path. Now, what we have here, if I use my direct select tool, is a lot of anchor points that went into creating this shape because of the Blob Brush tool. So the next step is to Object, Path, and Simplify. And you have a slider here. It's got 13 points for its recommended simplification. And you can just drag that to the left, and as long as the shape remains more or less what you want, then you can do that with a lot fewer anchor points. It just smooths everything out for you. Now, I don't recommend perfect symmetry for most of these creatures. A little bit of being off, it gives it a lot more character. Now you'll notice that's not the color that I may want for this head, and since I did make my color palettes over here, I can simply, with it selected, use my eyedropper tool and say that's the color for the head. Now it's a little hard to see the face features, so if I want to draw my face next, I'm going to hide that and make a new layer, and we'll call this the face. And I call that's this gray area right here that will have the eyes and nose and stuff on top of it. So that's why I'm going to make it next. And again, the Shift B or the Blob Brush tool, maybe a little large for me here. If I zoom in a little more, I'm going to start with the basic shape and then my left bracket, and I can come down here and just kind of fill in the rest. If I want to make it a little smaller to do just a little detail work, just don't start by outlining, start by filling it in and then worry about the edges. Again, selecting this Object, Path, and Simplify. See, it's 10 points. If I bring that down, it's still got my basic shape, but if I decide then to take some anchor points and kind of move them around a little bit, I can change the shape as needed after the fact. To tweak these, you can add these anchor points and then bring that back. But really, the Blob Brush tool will do an even better job than you can manually. So, and this is going to be gray, so I can just select, pick a gray color. Remember, what's in your drawing does not have to be, it's not the law. You can make changes. You can alter colors. You can say, you know what, I want the ears to be bigger or smaller. And it may look funny at first, but we will be adding effects that are going to jazz those up really, really nicely. Once again, I'm going to close this And now I've got maybe the nose. So adding the nose. You may end up with 100 layers. That's okay. As long as you're naming them and organizing them, we can arrange their order. We can make changes to them very easily. And like I said, combine them later as needed. Let me do one more thing here. I'll do the nose. Got my blob brush. I'm on the nose layer. Zoom in a little more. And again, doing the main part of it, and then reducing the size of the blob brush with the bracket key and getting that nose in there like that. Let me change. Now it does show that that was the stroke color, but when I select it, it's really the fill. So don't worry about that too much. Object path simplify. I almost want to make a keyboard shortcut for that, which is not that hard to do. And then if you want to make slight adjustments, smooth it out, grab it, move it. But don't spend too much time on it because we just need the rough shape really to start with. And of course that was going to be brown. Browns are down here with the oranges and the deeper orange. So you can just, sometimes I have trouble finding brown on there, but that's where I do. And now we've got the basics for the head right there. We do the stripes and the eyes, and then the ears and the body. I'll keep going up.